this series, we've been talking about time management, starting all the way from long-term life planning all the way down to daily task management. So when you do your 5-year planning and your 1-year planning, the next step that we often talk about is the daily task list, but that leaves out the space in the middle, which is between the 1-year plan, where you've got your sights on what you're going to accomplish over the coming year, and then there's some sort of level of planning that needs to get done between that level and down to the actual day by day, what am I going to do on this particular day? And that space is where a Kanban board comes in quite nicely. Now, we talked in the previous video about how I have 3 months worth of calendars hanging up on my wall over there, and that helps me keep track of particular meetings I need to attend. So the Blackstone Valley Art Association has a meeting once a month. My Sutton Writing Group has a meeting once a month. My Boston Writing Group meeting. I have weekly classes that I run on OutSchool for different groups of teenagers. So all of that sort of stuff gets put onto my 3 months of calendars. So I can just glance over there. I can see where I've got free space. So if I need to do a vet visit or something else like that, I can see where the holes are just at a quick glance and know where I can fit that stuff in. And on one hand, because I'm at my desk all day, every day, it's great to have that on the wall. I also understand the usefulness of having it in an electronic form. So if I left the house, I'd be able to check my calendar and see if I have a spot if someone calls and needs to schedule me for something. But that kind of scheduling at a 3-month level is different from project planning over 3 months. So my calendars, my wall calendars and my Google calendars and stuff are keeping track that I have every Saturday morning from 10 to 1, I do a Blackstone Valley Art Association live workshop to do different kinds of art and watercolor projects. But that's different from what we're looking at here on the screen, which are projects that I need to work on over the next couple months, and being able to map those out and put them onto a daily task list to make progress towards them. Now, most of the time, I don't work with a Kanban board myself because I know what's coming up, I know what kinds of projects, and I just keep it in my head. But that's not always the best way to manage it because there's the potential for things to get lost. So it's also a good idea to keep some sort of a running tally of the larger scope projects. So we're not talking about the 1-year projects, which is the stuff that I keep hanging on my desk next to me. I keep the 5-year projects, the 1-year projects, and my overall life priorities. But going from that 1-year project list down to managing my daily task lists that I print out every day. So every day I have one of these on my desk, which is all my actual daily task lists. There's an area in the middle of those two things between what I'm going to do for a day and what I'm going to accomplish over the coming year that needs to get managed in more of a long-term point of view. Longer term than daily, shorter term than once a year. So it's all relative. So Kanban boards come in many different flavors, but this is a very simple one to show you how this works. In the simple version, we just have 3 categories. We have the stuff that we need to do at some point, and we'll just say in 3 months to give it a general time frame. The stuff that we are working on right now actively in the current week or 2, and then the stuff that we got done so that we don't lose track of things and we can toss it in the done folder and see what we've been working on. So Kanban boards can be very simple like this with just 3 columns. You could make more columns if you wanted to have 1 column for home tasks and 1 column for work tasks or something like that. Many systems will let you add categories to things, so you can put things in the doing column and then have some things categorized as home topics. And these can all work with multiple people. So if you wanted to set something up for a group of friends or for an organization that you're part of or for family members, you can assign different family members or organization members or whatever your organization is set up to be so that different people can keep track of different things that they're doing. So the aim in here is not to do all this stuff in one day. That's the good part of it. So when I put stuff on my daily task list, it's general things that I want to try to get done in that day. But what if there's something that needs to be done sometime this week, and it doesn't matter when? It's not a scheduled thing like doing a BVAA chat at 3 p.m. on Friday. It's not that kind of a scheduled thing, but it's sometime during this week I want to work on getting the rest of the files off my old PC, which is sitting on the kitchen table, so that we can pack that PC up and put it somewhere else. So sometime during the coming week I want to get the rest of the files off that PC so I can shut it down and put it into another room somewhere. I've got 2 horror short stories that I have not made videos for yet, so I want to sit down and be able to do up my videos for those horror stories. I've gotten a bunch of videos that I've made of when I got my latest cell phone tripod, my latest Echo, the latest that PC that I'm running on right now. So I did unboxing videos for all of those, but I haven't found time yet to do all the editing. So these aren't things I'd want to put on today's task list because I've got other stuff that I need to get done today, and those things weren't a high priority for me today. But at some point soon, I'd like to get those done. So this kind of a Kanban board is a good way to manage those shortish time projects, we'll call them, and to be able to glance at that and see when I'm making up my daily task list, can I stuff one of these things on there to make sure that it gets done. And when it gets done, I can toss it over into the done pile, and that way I can keep track of the things that I've gotten done. And then there's also a to-do list, which are things which are a little further off in the distance. So, at some point I need to set up a better video plan for what we're going to do for the town of Douglas, and that's on the list. So it's not necessarily something I'm going to do today or tomorrow or even this week, but it's something that I want to get to sometime soon, something shorter than a year from now, but something not on my today list. So I know sometimes it can seem like we're keeping a lot of different lists going to keep track of things. But again, keep in mind that these longer lists that I have hanging here, the priorities, the 5-year list, the 1 year, we're not working on this every single day. This is just a reference list so that we remember to eventually work on some of these things. If I get my body fat at 16.5%, that's not necessarily something I'm focused working on every day, but it's a reminder to do my daily yoga routine and the other things that will help me head in that direction. And work on the daily task list, I definitely want to do every day because that's what keeps me working on things that are important and making sure I don't miss something that needs to get done. So this project list falls somewhere in the middle. I'll check it every day when I do my daily task list to make sure that if there's something that I've got space for, I can start making progress on one of these things. Hey, kitty. But I won't sit there and edit and review that Kanban board every single day necessarily. Maybe like once a week at the beginning of the week, I'll sit down and say, okay, what things have I gotten done? What things should I think about adding on there? And to keep track of where I'm making progress in the world. So I know it can seem like there's a lot of different lists, but they're all just guideposts to help you moving forward. And if you get into the habit of working with these, it's not a lot of effort to maintain them. Once you get things onto the Kanban board, they pretty much stay stationary until you finish a big block of things, like creating a whole bunch of origami DVDs. Once that thing is done, then it comes off the list and it's set. And then you'll have something else that falls onto the list. There's just always things that will go on the list. There's a lot of free software to let you do this. You could certainly do this by hand in a notebook or in a pad of paper if you want to. Whatever works best for you. If you like a cell phone app to do this sort of thing, that's fine. I mean, they're just lists. So if you want to make a list in Notepad or TextPad or something like that, you can do it that way too. One of the nice things about this is that it's going to store it indefinitely for you. So when you are, let's say this moving files from the old PC to new, when I'm done with it, I just drag it over into done. And now it's over here and it's stored forever, so I can go back and see what I got done over the past couple months. If I realize that I've made a mistake about something, I can just drag it back again. So that's part of the benefit of doing it in an electronic system where you don't have to go erasing and scribbling and moving things around on pieces of paper. This just lets you drag it very nicely. You can make backup copies. You can access it from all sorts of different places. So I am fine doing this sort of thing electronically because I think there's a lot of value of just having it set somewhere and accessible everywhere. Where in comparison, I really like doing the daily to-do list by hand because the act for me of writing things out by hand really reinforces that this needs to get done today. And if I keep writing the same thing over and over again, day after day, it really emphasizes that I should get it done soon instead of just keep pushing it off and pushing it off and pushing it off. So there's different aspects to each of these different systems. So to summarize, for the longer term projects, I review them every 3 to 6 months or something. I write them down and they just hang on my wall as a way to act as a guidepost, we'll call it, of what to aim towards. For my daily task lists, I print out a piece of paper each day and I write it down because for me writing it down really emphasizes that I want to get these things done today. And for that middle range of planning in the next, month or two or whatever, a Kanban board works well because similar to the long-term list, you work on it once and then have it pretty set, and then you use it to help guide you as you're making your daily task list. And then as you get things done, you slide them off and they are now kept track of for long-term planning, but they are out of your immediate doing list. And you can change the colors and you can change the categories and all that other kind of stuff to make it work best for you. So let me know if you have any questions about Kanban boards and about the idea of having a shorter term planning system. I know it's all relative what's longer term and shorter term, but to have something that keeps you oriented between your 1 year list, which is fairly far off, and your daily list, which is fairly close in, so that you have something for that middle space to be able to keep you guided over a couple weeks, to keep you working towards a project that you need to get completed in those weeks. So I'm happy to answer questions. Let me know if you have any questions or comments.